Welcome to MotoState Podcast, where we talk about motorcycles, life, and everything in between. What's up, Luke? How's it going, dude?
Hey, what's happening? Here we are again.
It's weird how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah, here we are. Season 1, episode 2. How about that?
Ironically enough. So
yeah, 2 comes after 1. Who knew?
Yeah, it's funny. So I remember we were talking and told everybody on episode 1 that we were going to talk about motorcycles, life, and anything in between. But turns out, what's episode 2 going to be about today, Luke?
Motorcycles.
Motorcycles for sure.
Yeah. Oops.
Right?
Well, yeah, but some life impacts, how life can impact motorcycle riding and trips, and so there's a little bit of life part of it too. But yeah, we're still going to talk a lot about motorcycles. So
I mean, why not, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's what I do. It's what I know.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Right? So let's start with this. This weekend, or I'm going to say this last weekend, we were supposed to meet up and do a motorcycle camping event, and shit went awry, and you could not show up to that motorcycle camping event. But as I understand it, this was the second event of the year, or second ride or trip or whatever you want to call it of the year, that shit went awry for you, and and you had to pivot and make some changes. So why don't you tell one of the stories? I don't really give a shit which one. Tell one of the stories, because I think it's interesting, and then I can kind of add on, because shit went awry for me too. So
yeah. I'll start. I'll go in order. So we'll go back to March. I believe it was 15th. I rode out. Well, let me back up. I was supposed to leave Friday, and I think that was March 14th. I was going to take a 8-9 day trip. St. Louis, Oklahoma City, down through Texas, hill country, do some camping, hit up Dallas on that Tuesday, meet up with Jace from the Fast Life Garage, go to their T-Bar Tuesday bike night. From there, East Tennessee for a few days, East Tennessee to Nashville back to St. Louis. So a long trip.
what was your total miles and total days that were supposed to be in the trip?
I think that was going to be 9 days. It was going to be just shy of 4,000 miles.
Okay, and how many days camping? How many days in hotels?
About half and half. So
Half and half, okay.
I was going to camp for 4. I was going to be in a hotel for 2, and then staying with people like family, girlfriend, whoever, the rest of the time. So a nice mix, which afforded me not to have to pack clothes for that many days. I was going to be able to do some laundry, not turn my underwear inside out and wear it multiple days in a row.
Which is disgusting, but okay.
Yeah, you do what you got to do on the road. Or just throw them away and stop at Walmart and get new underwear. But anyway, so I was supposed to leave that Friday and just get on the road down to maybe Springfield, Missouri, Joplin, to shoot down 44. And unfortunately, we had a tornado come through Missouri that Friday. So I rolled out at like 3:34 a.m. Saturday in the dark. And as the sun, I shot down 44. As the sun came up, I saw the carnage, the wreckage from this tornado. It was pretty wild. 18-wheelers flipped over, big interstate signs just buckled and split in multiple pieces. It's pretty wild. So, went on through Joplin, stopped in Oklahoma, and visited Mickey Mantle's childhood home and where he played high school baseball, and was pretty neat. I actually got interviewed on a podcast while I was in Oklahoma City, and then camped for the first time ever while on my bike down in Texas.
Solo?
Solo, just me.
Okay.
And so camped.
What'd you eat?
What I eat? So I took your suggestion, ramen noodles But instead of beef jerky, your little trick, I brought canned chicken, like shredded chicken.
Oh, okay.
And so ramen noodles and chicken for dinner, oatmeal for breakfast, and a protein bar. So I got a little carbs and protein. But loved it. Had a great time. Got really cold that night. I think it was down upper 20s, low 30s where I was in Texas that night. But was great. Rolled out of there, and for Yellowstone fans, I stopped at the Four Sixes Ranch and got a picture of myself on the bike in front of the entrance to it. Looks just like it does in the show. It's pretty neat. And then from there, just took back roads, side roads through part of the hill country, and ended up at Emerald Rock State Park Sunday night. Got camp set up right before it got dark, and started. I was probably 4 or 5 bites into my dinner when I got a phone call that my dad was in the hospital. And so, not a fun phone call, but it is what it is. And he's doing great now. He's definitely recovered and in good shape. But that's a scary phone call when you're an hour and a half west of Austin, Texas. My dog and my truck is in St. Louis, and my parents are in Knoxville, Tennessee. So not a lot of sleep that night. Got up the next day, packed up the campsite, hit the road. Just dealing with Fort Worth traffic, heat, not a lot of sleep. I made it to Springfield, Missouri, about 11:30 that night, and I was wore out. And so got a hotel room, slept for a few hours, got back up 200 miles to St. Louis, grabbed the truck, grabbed the dog, packed a new bag, and then drove 500 miles to Knoxville to be with my parents and be with my dad, and ended up being there. What I thought would be a few days ended up turning into 3 weeks. So that
Oh,
was,
wow. Okay.
yeah, it was wild. But
So, so how
yeah,
many you were how many days into your trip before the phone call and you had to like end it?
two.
2. So,
So I was
what
on the
what
road
should have
three
been
days total.
what should have been a 9-day trip was a 2-day trip, but really it was, day 3 was you driving back.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It
Yeah.
was, one of those things, and something I had. The first time I took a really long ride, something like that, multiple days. I did that last summer. Did 2,700 miles in 6 days and covered like 10 states, and it was awesome. And I was like, I'm going to do this every summer and try to get new states in as much as I can. But unfortunately, just this year didn't work, and may not work out this year either. But that's okay. I'm good with that. Like those things happen for a reason. It was obviously way more important for me to be in Knoxville and be with my parents, and that's what I did. And it sucked. Selfishly, it sucked, but I'm glad I was able to get there as quickly as I could and be with them.
Yeah, isn't that a weird scenario that sometimes you make these plans and it's all for naught, right? You end up having to go back and pivot as we like to say to for lack of a better word, hold up your obligations as a son and do kind of do what's right for your family. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think selfishly, right? Our trips are spoiled when things like this happen.
Sure.
And we have to you have to kind of change what you're doing. So did you? It's always interesting when an emergency happens. Did you consider packing your stuff and leaving that first night when you got the phone call?
No, I did not. I didn't think that was going to be safe. And going on back roads in the middle of almost nowhere in some aspects, roads I've never been on. I didn't think that was the best idea for me.
Sure.
My luck is smoking a deer in the middle of nowhere, laying on the side of the road, and just make a bad situation even worse, right? So I felt like it was best for me to try to get some sleep and get up early and ride back. And I'm real thankful. I mean, I had lunch. Monday I was meeting my boss at the time. He has a house down in the hill country. We were going to hang out that day. It was St. Patty's Day, and do a little brewery hopping and stay at his cabin for the night. Tuesday, getting up, having lunch in Waco with a guy that's on YouTube, the Bogey Biker, real nice guy. Going to get to meet him in person for the first time. And then, like I said, Tuesday night, meet up with Jason, Devin, and those guys. And, had to cancel on all those, and they were on all of them, and they were super understanding. Followed up numerous times asking how I was doing and how my parents were doing. And thankful again for this community and folks checking on me and my family and making sure everybody was okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about what happened to you this last weekend.
Yeah.
What were your plans first of all?
Well, my plan actually. So the first time I heard about this trip, I wasn't going to be able to go.
Yep.
Parenting schedule with my daughter, but some things got moved around, and so was able to have not have my daughter this weekend, and just the way it worked out. And so I was like, all right, I'll come up to southern Minnesota and meet you guys to camp and do some riding and get to meet a bunch of guys that certainly have talked to on whether it's Discord or Instagram in the past, and get to hang out with you. And we even had some plans to try to record some things for YouTube and social media for the podcast. And so I got out of bed Friday morning nice and early, and the bag was already strapped down, bike was already loaded out, loaded up, ready to go. Went straight to the gas station, got gas, went to turn the bike back on, and not a damn thing happened. Just deader than a doornail. And first time it's ever happened to me. So I was like, okay. So I duck walked it out away from the pump, and was like, all right, it must be dead. This battery is original. The bike's over 4 years old. So I got jump pack out, tried to jump it, and I mean, nothing would happen. Tried it a few times. So immediately just start texting people, like, hey, do you have a hook? Can you come get me? You got a trailer? I need to get this thing back to the garage. And tried it one more time just randomly just to start it, not jumping it, and it cranked right up. So I loaded everything back on it, went straight to the garage, pulled it in there. And in that time, in that ride back to the garage, all mile and a half it is, check engine light comes on and started throwing a bunch of codes. Folks were telling me it's probably the battery, need to start there, which obviously made sense. So I did. So I was like, well, there's an AutoZone right down the street. Dealership isn't open yet. It's worth a try. Get me on the road sooner. Run to AutoZone. They didn't have the right size battery. Okay, no big deal. So cutting back through the neighborhood, because it's only like 5 blocks from the house. And cutting back through the neighborhood, come to a 4-way stop, sitting there, waiting other cars come by, and someone bumps into the ball on my hitch on my truck. And this lady proceeds to start screaming at me that it's all my fault that she ran into the back of me. I'm not sure how, but it's all my fault. Brake lights.
I'm going to tell you, in any state, when you hit somebody from behind, it's totally your fault.
It is. Absolutely. Yeah.
You can't hit somebody from behind and blame the driver in front of you. It doesn't work.
I just started laughing. I was like, is this what? I thought maybe she was joking, but she was dead to right serious. So I said, okay. I said, well, how do you want to handle this? There's no damage to my truck. Your bumper and grill are not in good shape. I don't have to call the insurance. I'm not out anything. And she said, no, I'm calling 911. And she did. She called 911. So I pulled over.
Called 911 because she hit you. Holy hell.
Can't make this shit up. So I get out of the intersection, or not the intersection, but pull away from the stop sign, just side of the road. And she keeps her car, she didn't move it. It was, right there in the PD traffic. And so I was like, well, this is going to be a while because, police are not going to rush to this. I mean, this is the city of St. Louis. They're more concerned about a lot of other things than this. So
somebody probably got shot while you got rear-ended, and
probably
and
10 people got shot, not just one. Are you kidding me?
St. Louis, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking St. Louis. So I guess from a timing aspect, the nice thing was this happened 7-8 blocks from a police station. So here comes
shit.
And she jumps out of her car, flags this guy down. And so I just roll the window down, and I hear like, I ran in the back of him. It's all his fault. And he just kind of looked at her like, are you high? Like, what is wrong with you? And he goes, so what do you want me to do? He said, you need to give him a ticket. Ma'am, if I get out of this car, you're getting a ticket. That's how it's going to work.
Is that what he said
Now,
to her?
yeah,
That's awesome. That's
so
so awesome.
you can trade information with him and figure it out. But if you want me to get out, you insist on me getting out of this car, you're getting a ticket. And she, it was a kiss of death for her. I pay your salary. You know what the
Oh
fuck
shit!
you're talking about.
He got out of the car then, didn't
And
he?
he threw that thing in park as hard as he could and popped out of there. And I was like, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be great. I almost thought about videoing it. I was like, no,
Oh
better
shit!
not.
You should have. You should.
Make the situation worse, right?
Yeah. Right. Right.
I didn't want to come across the wrong eye to the police officer because he was already having a bad morning starting
Right.
30 seconds before that. So,
Right.
so I'll get out of the truck, and I guess at some point when I got out of my truck the first time, my shirt came up, and she saw what I carry on my hip on a regular basis. So immediately, she just starts screaming, he has a pistol, he has a gun, and I'm like, what? And so the police officer's like, what's going on? I was like, it's on my hip. I'm not doing anything. It hasn't come out of the holster. She said, he's like, okay, that's fine. Just make sure I see your hands. Okay, cool. Takes my license, takes her license. He goes back and gets in his Tahoe, and he's doing what they do. And so I get back in the truck. I don't want to engage with this lady. It's starting to get hot. And so he gets out of his Tahoe and comes over. I roll the window down. He's like, do you need her information? I do not. Because you're free to go. Fantastic. So I had the window still down, putting my license back in my wallet. And this lady, he obviously told her what was going on. And she starts screaming, and he goes, ma'am, I need you to shut your damn mouth. You're getting a ticket for running in back of him and having expired plates.
Oh shit!
At that moment, I put my truck in drive, and I got the hell out of there because
She got. Oh man, she could have. You know what? Here's the thing. Like, he gave her every opportunity, which I love. Right?
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
he was like a fair dude. He was like,
and he
listen.
didn't want to do the paperwork. I mean, come on.
No. He's like, listen, you hit this guy. Your car's fucked. His truck is fine, and he's saying he just wants to go home. And like he gave her every opportunity to walk away completely unscathed, and she lost her shit, and she suffered the consequences. And you know what? Hey, here's where I'm at with that. Like, good for that police officer for recognizing, like, I don't have to do anything here. These people they're adults. They can handle this. And I won't even write her a ticket. Like, she obviously hit you. She was in the wrong, and he gave her an out, and she still insisted on like pushing her luck. So you know what? Good for him for giving her a ticket. Good for him for like standing by what he said he was going to do. I mean, ton of respect, right? I mean, yeah. I have a lot of respect for our, first responders and police officers and fire and, whatever, especially working in healthcare like I do. But, good for him for like using his judgment. Like, probably like you said, there was probably a way more important things he could have been doing. And he probably showed up and was like, what the shit is going on here? Like
some
this
lady,
could.
like, jumping out of her car, running in the middle of the road, waving her
Yeah.
hands, like what?
Yeah, for sure, right? Yeah. So no, dude, so okay, so you get into the accident, right? We're still in the bike situation, okay?
Oh yeah.
So,
By the way, there's still that.
Yeah.
So
By the way, okay, so yeah,
so
keep on going.
enough time had passed at this point where it's like, oh, dealership's gonna be open by the time I get there. So I go to the dealership, get a battery, come back, get the old battery out, new battery in. Which is just a pain in the ass, but and just really annoying at that point because I should have been on the road 2 hours, but 3 hours for that or whatever. So get it in, cranks right up. Still got codes, cleared the codes, got it out, circled the block a few times just to get an idea before I loaded it back down. Still idling high, started throwing a TPS sensor code. And at that point, I'm like, maybe, just maybe, this is a sign to just stay the fuck at home. Just stay at home. Just something telling me not going the right. I mean, and I'm like, well, what's the weather look like between here and there? And it's like red and yellow shit through northern Missouri, massive storm going through there, and I'm just like, I'm just calling it a day. Like I want to be there, but my spidey senses said stay home, and so I did, and I didn't like it. I pouted. I think I texted that to you. I'm pouting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not happy about it, but it just became, what's the risk reward here? What is what's life trying to tell me? I mean, it was going to be camping in like 1 billion degrees, or as someone said today, 100 and fuck you degrees, or whatever they said. But
Yeah.
so I was like, I'm staying home. I'm just going to stay here, and hate to miss it, but it just made more sense.
Yeah. So it's funny that you said that, because there was a little ball busting going on around the camp. We were like, why didn't Luke just clear those codes and hit the road? Like that's what we were all saying.
Sure.
And here's the funny thing, because and everybody has their like line in the sand, right? Because that's what I told the guys. I was like, hey, we don't know Luke that good yet, right? So I said, we don't know what Luke's line in the sand is. And the reason why I say that, and I mentioned it in the first podcast, my buddy Bob, and you're going to hear me say that a lot. So we called him, we teased him, we called him Breakdown Bob for a hot minute, because Bob, he bought a bike. Well, he when we first met him, he had a I don't even know what year it was, but it was a basket case bike. It was truly, he bought a bike in a box. He completely reassembled it. He called it the Green Whore. It was an old bagger with like a hand painted Evo engine. I mean, it was a completely, it was a death trap. I mean, the exhaust pipes fell off one time. I mean, it was crazy. But we rode with him even when he was riding and the whole back end locked up on him, and we like pushed on the side of the road, and he was like, this is the first time they ever rode with us, and he goes, if you guys never want to ride with me again, I'm okay with that. And I go, dude, for somebody who could tip a bike over, have the back tire lock up, and like still want to do this thing, like, we're down. You can ride with us whenever you want.
Hell yeah.
So he went to an event with us that year, towed that bike there, and rode that shit box at the event. It of course broke down, and that's when he lost the exhaust pipes and whatever. But at that event, he was like, I can't believe this community is amazing. Like, everybody was willing to help him. Everybody was, welcoming him in. So he was down. So he actually bought a bike from the dad of one of the people that showed up at our events. And but it was the bike that he used that he really fell in love with, this long distance traveling, this thing that we like to do and going to the events. But the bike, it needed a lot of TLC, and he had a ton of trouble with that bike. I mean, all of the spokes broke off the back tire one time, off of one side, while we were in South Dakota. He put it on a lift in Sasha's in downtown Sturgis during the event, and Sasha was like, work on your bike, and then Sasha gave him all of that shit for free. Like, whatever he needed.
That's
because
awesome.
because Sasha couldn't help him, but he was using Sasha's shop and tools and everything. We were on a trip, in the middle of our trip on the way down. So it was past our first day. His front brakes locked up. What does he do? He like disconnects his front brakes, straps them up so that they wouldn't leak fluid, and just did the whole rest of the trip without front brakes. So he rode Needles Highway. He rode Iron Mountain Road with only back brakes on his bike. Like, dude's legit. Like,
Bob's
we called him,
badass.
we called him Breakdown Bob, but and Bob's, he's probably my closest friend. We're really close in age. I mean, I have 3 really good friends that I ride with, but Bob and I are the closest in age, and he has this like just never give up attitude, and because of that, I'm down for whatever. If his shit breaks down, I'm not leaving him on the side of the road. If his shit, he broke down in Missouri one time on this highway, and our other friend Nick stayed with him. Kenny and I had to go because Kenny's diabetic medication was getting too hot, and he needed to get to the hotel. So we took off, got to our hotel, and sent a truck with a trailer back to pick him up. While they were out there, a group of bikers stopped and said, listen, you guys can't stay here. And they're like, what do you mean? And they're like, this is the major thoroughfare for sex trafficking in Missouri. And they're like, and it was a girl telling Bob this. And then she looked right at Bob and said, oh, and by the way, you're exactly what they want. You're an earner. Like, those were the words she used.
Shit.
Yeah. And that was like Bob and Nick were like underneath this tree. They gave them some bottle of water and they're like, we got friends coming to pick us up. Don't worry. And they were like, well, if anybody comes up to you guys, like, she's like, fight, because they're going to take you away. And so, so then we called Bob an earner after that for a long time. So that's a really good story, right? But here's the deal. Like, everybody has their line in the sand. So we were busting your balls about the the codes on your bike, because we were all like, motherfucker, just clear those codes and get on the road. And then this is what I said. So I was like, I was busting balls too. But then I said, hey guys, I said, here's the deal. I said, Luke is starting a new job on Monday, and he can't get stuck out here in Minnesota. I said, he can't get stuck out here. I said, so I'm going to give him a pass. I said, but next time, if he doesn't show up because of some stupid ass trouble codes, I said, I'm going to be climbing all up in his business, because I've been riding my bike for a week and a half with a check engine light on. I brought the parts to fix my bike to our camping event.
Hey, if it hadn't been idling high, I wouldn't give a shit about the codes, but it was idling high and throwing a TPS sensor after I cleared it.
And I had a
but to your point, the new job thing was a big factor in that, for sure.
Oh, well, that's kind of where I was at with it. I was like, he can't get stuck here, right? So that's where I was, because I've had my engine lights on because I have a bad O2 sensor that I need to replace, and so I actually got it in the mail the night that we were packing to leave, and so my wife's like, you're not going to tear your bike apart right before you leave, are you? And I was like, no, and I'm like, I'm just bringing all the tools. She goes, to do what? And I go, well, to fix it at the campsite. And she's like, you guys are nuts. She's like, you're going to tear your bike apart and you're not going to get it back together and you're not going to make it home. Well, it was hotter than Satan's. It was hotter than Satan's asshole. So we didn't we didn't do the repair, needless to say. But okay, so you didn't come to the camping trip where you're going to meet us all. What was the issue? Did you get your bike fixed?
So Sunday, I cleared codes again and took it for a longer ride, about 30, 45 minutes, and idled a little rough early, no code, and then everything smoothed out. I don't know if that's voltage regulated, I don't know. But yeah, everything's fine now. So
yeah.
I'll see you up there this weekend. Just kidding.
Yeah, right. So so that was the other thing that the guys that we were with said, sometimes changing out your battery does some weird shit and throws some weird codes. And a bunch of people said, I bet if he rode his bike for about 50 miles, everything would just go away. They figured the codes would probably even clear themselves too. And I was like, I said, absolutely. Like we were all on board. We all knew where you were at, but I kept landing on the job situation. I was like, here's the situation. So that dovetails right into my story. Okay,
oh, this is a good one.
We've got tons of breakdown stories, and I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to talk about this one single incident. So we planned this trip, and we started a group chat, right? So there was like 11 of us in this group chat. Luke was in the group chat, and we get to the day before we're all leaving for camping, and one of the guys sends this message into the group chat, and he's like, hey, did you guys realize like it's going to be really fucking hot, like in the 90s? And I said, well, as long as it cools down at night so we can sleep. And at the time, it looked like it was going to be about 75 at night. And I'm like, well, if it's 98 in the day and 75 at night, that cools down enough. Plus you're sleeping outside, you get a little bit of a breeze. That's fine. That's comfortable camping. You know what I mean? That's comfortable sleeping.
Maybe a little cooler by the water too.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I thought. Like maybe a little cooler by the water, right? So I'm like, I said to the guy in our group chat, hey, stop trying to ruin our good time. Stop being a pussy. Like, we're going to camp. I said, besides, you're getting a fucking hotel room. You're not staying at the campsite anyway. So I don't want to hear the shit from you. So we all go. So we leave Grand Forks and to go down Friday morning, and it's a little cool, which almost always is for our motorcycle trips. We almost always leave here in the morning and it's cool. But we get about halfway down and it's hot as balls. I mean, it is fucking hot. As the further and closer we get to the campsite, the higher the humidity goes, the higher the wind gets. It's like driving through a blast furnace of heat and humidity.
Just a hair
So,
dryer.
yeah, like a hairdryer, exactly. So we get down there. We set up our campsite, and we had all sweat completely through our clothes just setting our shit up, right? We all drank like a quart of water while we were setting up. I mean, it's fucking humid and hot. We're all getting messages from back home. Hey, are you guys checking out the weather? So while we were in hot as balls camping, tornadoes tore through our area here at home and fucked everything up. People died near us. Like Bob's garage got hit with, trees fell on his house, and his shop got 3 or 4 holes in it, and his shop got fucked up. I mean, it was bad, a bad storm. We all left our families to go motorcycle camping, and they're all going through tornadoes. And we don't get a lot of that super, super severe weather in our area a lot. So we kind of felt like shit. So we lay down to sleep that first night. What we thought was going to be a cool night was windy and hot as fucking hell. So hot that I was sleeping just in my boxers and sweating in the tent. Now, I anticipated this and even bought a camp fan, which I've never used in my entire life. So I have a fan in my tent blowing on me, hot as balls. I slept less than 2 hours that night, the first night we were there camping.
That's shitty. That just sucks.
Well, and we bought a bunch of wood because we were going to do all these campfire cookouts. We did cook hot dogs and brats the first night, but it wasn't even fun to sit by the fire because it was so fucking hot. Like too
throw
hot.
That shit on a rock and it would cook itself. It's so
dude,
hot.
we had the skewers, like the whole nine, right? But it was so fucking hot, just like devastatingly hot. So we get up the next morning. We all go and take showers, and we were up at 5:45 because it was so hot. Like we wanted to get moving during the day. So we get up, everybody goes and takes showers, come back. I'm standing at the campsite just in pants with no shirt on and flip-flops because it's hot. I'm just sweating standing there. And I was like, good God. And then everyone starts talking about, hey, have you checked the weather for tonight? It's going to be 11 degrees hotter tonight than it was the first night that none of us slept.
Did you scare people with your shirt off standing there?
So, I mean, it's a campsite. I mean, like, I'm not overly hairy like Sasquatch, so it's not too bad. But it was just, I mean, it was out of control. It was too much. And but anyway, we were like, fuck it. Like, this is why we're here. There's 8 or 9 other people at our campsite. There's 3 other people coming in. We're meeting people in La Crosse. We're going to do this, right? So one of the guys that came down planned a route, a pretty cool route. And so we left it. And I was thinking to myself, let's get on the road. It's going to feel cooler when we're riding our bikes, right?
Sure. Yeah.
No, total bullshit. Liquid, air-cooled Harley-Davidsons in 95-degree weather with, 89% humidity. It was like sitting on a ball melter. I mean, just peeling your taint off your seat at every stop. I mean, it was fucking ridiculous. It was so hot, right? But we did a ride, and it was pretty cool. Part of the ride that we did was we went a couple places, and we ended at the S&S compound in Viola, Wisconsin.
Nice.
If you haven't been there, it's worth a trip because all the roads to get there are super fucking rad. But Viola, Wisconsin is literally just a tiny, if you blink, you'll miss it.
Yeah, it's like...
And S&S is out in the middle of nowhere. Like, you don't realize how truly out in the middle of nowhere it is till you get there and realize it's just this compound out in the middle of nowhere. You're like, this is where all the cool fucking motorcycle parts come from, and there isn't shit out there. Nothing. So we get down there, we line up our bikes in this nice row, we're getting ready to take pictures. My other friend who we ride with all the time, Nick, he gets off his 24 streak light, and all I hear through the comms is, motherfucker! And I was like, what's going on, dude? He was like, unfucking believable. And I was like, dude, what is up? And I turn around and start walking over, and he looks up at me and goes, my saddlebag's gone. I go, what? He's like, my fucking saddlebag is gone. So his left side, driver's side saddlebag, completely gone. Totally gone off his bike.
So was there nobody behind him?
He rides in the back of the pack all the time.
Oh, shit.
That's where he rides in our group. That's where he rides in group rides. He was at the very back of the pack.
Damn.
His bike boosted off. So, like we do, my guys. So we've been dubbed the White Walkers by another one of my friends. He called us that because we've ridden in some really cold weather and some really shitty conditions. So he dubbed us the White Walkers. Plus, we always say we're north of the wall because of where we live. It's a Game of Thrones reference. If for those of you who are Game of Thrones nerds like I am. So
fun fact: I've never watched that show.
We can't be friends anymore. Sorry, we're just going to end this episode right now.
It's been a good ride.
Yeah, it's been a good ride. Yeah, I Stone. Yeah. If you like fantasy genre, it's really good. If you don't, you'd probably fucking hate it. So
I'd fucking hate it for sure.
okay, well there you go. So
Yeah, there we go.
First thing we completely disagree on. I love fantasy, but anyway,
But
so
you do.
yeah. So myself and Bob and Kenny and then Jay, who came up from Kentucky, we all decided we're going to ride the route back. So it's a 97-mile route back to where our first stop was, to the S&S compound. We're going to backtrack completely the whole route, and we're going to find Nick's bag. We rode it back the whole route, going no faster than 40 miles an hour.
Jeez, that's a good
5 of us, 40 miles an hour, 97 miles, and we never found his bag. We never found a spot where the bag opened up and spewed because the bag was full. So that bag came off his bike and never opened up. It probably went down into a ditch, in tall grass, off of some sort of ravine or something, because there's windy roads, there's whatever. But that fucker's gone. We do actually have some friends that are going back up there this Saturday, and they're going to try to find his bag. But because his bag was also full of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's a 24 streak line, okay? So here's going to be the kicker. So I'm going to disparage a dealership and congratulate the dealership all at the same time.
Mm.
So we call a dealership right in that La Crosse on Alaska area to see if they've got a bag for a 24 bagger black, just the vivid black. Nope.
Me too.
Yep. The Me Too. Yep, the Me Too Street Glide. 24 Me Too Street Glide. Nope. No, we don't have it. We can't help you. I mean, that's literally their answer. Nope. Can't help you. We don't have one. We checked the website. There's none. You can't buy saddlebags for 24s on the Harley website right now. We called another dealership. That dealership told us that the bags for the Street Glides are not available anywhere in the country.
Oh, that makes sense. Sure.
So you can't get them anywhere. So we were like, what are we going to do? Like, he's got too much shit at the campsite. All of our bikes are full. Right. He's got too much shit. At this point, he's going to have to, like, UPS one of his bags, UPS a bunch of his shit home because he can't pack his bike up. And we're like, hey, let's head back to the dealer. Let's head to the dealership that we called that said that they couldn't help us. So we go to the dealership. He waits for a really long time in front of the parts counter because turns out they're having a grand opening event.
Oh my gosh!
It's not a like their first grand opening. It's like a second grand opening because I think they relocated or remodeled or did something. Right? It's a very nice dealership. And he asked the sales guy, or he was at the parts counter. He didn't really get some help, but a sales guy kind of noticed he was getting a little bit distraught. Kind of comes up to him, goes over to the what the counter looks like, probably the general manager or somebody who's in charge. Talks to him. First, you see this general manager just shaking his head, no. Then the sales guy's like, but hey, we're doing, there's an exchange happening there. Then our buddy turns around, looks at us, and goes, thumbs up. Nick is like, thumbs up. So we're like, holy shit, these guys are going to help us. So turns out they just pulled a Street Glide off of a truck, brand new, 2025. but they didn't change the bags, right?
Okay.
They got a brand new Street Glide, Vivid Black. Turns out they're going to do a build on this Vivid Black bike, and they're taking the bags off of it anyway.
No shit, man.
Because this is southern Minnesota, so of course they're making a stretch bag big wheel bagger out of it.
Is the guy from North Dakota?
Yeah, the buyer. Yeah. No. So here's the deal. They said, "Hey, we'll sell you this bag. We'll get you back on the road. No problem." Right? Sure, they will. $1,280 later, he got the bag. But here's the deal. Like, Harley had the leverage. They had the part he needed off of a brand new bike. So it was a brand new bag. It didn't even have locks in it, right? With all the hardware, matching color to his bike, readily available, handing him the bag right over the counter when there's none available in the country.
Yeah, a monopoly. They had the only one.
So they had the advantage. I mean, do I feel like we got fucked a little bit? I do, but if you kind of price it out, the lids at Harley are like $400. The bottom part of the bag is like $600, especially when you get in paint match. So, and they basically handed him a bag with all the hardware except for the locks. Brand new bag that had never been run on a bike. Essentially, they pulled the plastic off it and we put it on his bike. So while he got fucked a little bit, now mind you, his old bag that he lost on his bike also had about $500 or $600 worth of shit in it. Like heated gloves, a wild ass seat. I mean, he had a bunch of shit in it. Okay.
Damn.
So Nick is $2,000 into the day, at least, right? We know the weather is going to be worse that night, and we intended on staying till Monday. Most of the crew that we came down with, and would have included you, were going home on Sunday. There were 3 of us that were going to stay till Monday, but we're looking at the extended forecast. It's 95 that day when we're there. The first night it never cooled off. That night it was supposed to be 85. The coolest it was supposed to be all night was 85 degrees with about 90% humidity. Sunday was supposed to be 95 degrees also, and it wasn't supposed to cool down Sunday night. So I said to the guys, I'm like, dudes, I won't get any sleep for 3 nights. And then we got to try to ride home on less than 3,
Right.
An hour of sleep a night for 3 nights in a row, and then turn around and ride home in 90-degree weather, to get home. So we kind of made the difficult decision that we needed to go home.
Sure.
We were at this campsite. There was 8 other people there, but our group had split up at this point, right? Well, what we didn't know is that the group that we split off of, they also splintered into 2 groups.
Oh.
And some of them went to eat, and some of them went to another place, and some of them went to ride more. So we went back to the campsite. We decided we were going to go. It was 3 o'clock. We needed to pack up our stuff. We figured it would take about an hour. Here's the thing. It was so hot inside of my tent that I could not touch the rails on my cot because they were too hot to touch. It was like 120 degrees in the inside of my tent. It was like an oven in there.
God, that's awful.
So we at this point were like, we're screwed. Like, we got to go. So we packed up all of our stuff. We put all of our stuff, packing all of our stuff. In the midst of doing that, Nick, who not only lost his bag and was $2,000 dollars into the day, he starts having heat stroke symptoms.
Oh, Jesus.
He is now hallucinating. He's not making any sense. He is completely sweat through his clothes. He's pale white and laying on the back on his ground in the grass. Like, I'm like, we can't leave. He can't even function. So we go and get a bunch of ice. We pack him down with ice. We get a bunch of cold water, and we get him so that he's not suffering heat stroke symptoms. We pack up his bike for him, or the remainder of what he needed to get packed up. put it on his bike. We get him to a quick stop or a quick trip gas station, and get him inside so he can at least regulate his body temperature and get some fluids in him.
Sure.
We still got to go home.
Yeah.
Because it's still 95 degrees, and we know, so we end up getting on the road about 2 hours after we'd hoped. So we did not get home until 3 o'clock in the morning.
And how many miles was that?
We were just under 500.
Okay.
So it was about, a 10 hour, 8 to 10 hour ride on your bike. You stop, because we were stopping for longer periods of time, because obviously it's hotter than Satan's asshole outside.
Yeah.
So we needed to get, we needed to get some decent time in a gas station and cool off. But I mean, so all told, and not only that, we'd already ridden close to 300 miles that day just by the ride that we'd gone on in the heat.
Sure.
So it ends up being close to an 800-mile day. So all told, I get home from my trip in under 48 hours, had put like 1,200 miles on my bike, because we essentially rode down there, stayed the night, and rode back. But we rode down there on a Friday, and we got home on Sunday, because we essentially rode all night, Saturday night to get home. So while we have left at 4 o'clock in the morning, we never got home at 4 o'clock in the morning. So that was a new experience. We'd also never ridden that many miles in 48 hours. So there was some firsts for us on the trip. But yeah, so, and here's the worst part, is I really felt like we let down the people that showed up to camp, because 2 guys came down from the Twin Cities area. One of the guys came up from Kentucky. Another guy came from Chicago, or I'm sorry, from Michigan, the other side of Chicago. He came from Michigan. He had to ride through Chicago actually to get there. All for one night. It felt awful. You know what I mean? But like you said, everybody has their line in the sand, and and also, we had this shit kind of going on outside of the trip after us with this, with the storm at home. And, with Nick practically getting heat stroke, our other friend Kenny he's diabetic and his blood sugars were a little bit weird. There was just a lot of things, like you said, we had to sit down and be like, hey, does the writing on the wall tell us that we shouldn't be here anymore? And that's kind of where we were. I felt terrible. I mean, luckily we've got really good friends that kind of understood. I don't think that they were really happy with us, that we decided to leave, but I really felt like we didn't have much of a choice. We really felt like the weather wasn't going to change. We weren't going to see much of a reprieve, and it wasn't going to get any better for us.
Yeah,
so
I mean, that's a lot of shit to go wrong and or happen.
Yeah.
Whether it's, the bag, the expense of all that, losing things that aren't always easily replaced. And then the peripheral things of what, weather at home and what's going on. I mean, if there's a sign, that's a sign to just go home. Call it a day.
Right. So, I mean, again, and some of those guys that came for the ride, they might listen to this podcast. They might not, but I'm sorry, right? I'm sorry that things turned out this way. We've met at many other events. We'll meet at events again. We'll go camping. We'll do things again. And sometimes things just don't work out. And we do our level best. My group does our level best to fight through circumstances, bike breakdowns, all of the things. And I think much like where you were, the universe was telling us, you guys are fucked. Go home. This isn't the right time for you. Whatever the situation was, we just had to draw the line in the sand. So, for those of you out there in podcast land, when this episode drops, hit us up on Instagram and let us know, what's your line in the sand? What was your worst trip? What was what's that thing that would make you cancel a trip or not go, or what has happened to you where something like this has happened? Because I know for us, we don't have as long a riding season as you do, even in St. Louis. And so every opportunity that we have to do a trip, if we don't finish that trip, it's truly a wasted opportunity. And, it was extraordinarily disappointing. I mean, our first trip of the year, and it's the middle of June. I've had seasons where I've already gone on 2 trips by now. And this was our first trip. I mean, I had a season 2 years ago, and it was an epic season looking back on it now. I went on an epic trip in May, in June, in July, in August, and September. I went on 5 epic trips that year, 1 trip a month. And it was a trip. It was a season for the books. I put like 11,000 miles on my bike that summer. I mean, it was awesome. And so, for the most part, we try to do that. I mean, I've spent 8 days solo on my bike before. Like, so I felt bad, but anybody that knows me knows that, that's not typically what I do, right? I don't cancel a trip in the middle and go home. I tough it out. I'd ride in bad weather. I ride in rain. I've ridden through storms. I've ridden in temperatures down to, I rode for 6 hours one day in weather probably 28 degrees or colder. So, I'm not I'm usually not that guy, but man, that's how this weekend went, and just everything was fucked, right? And that's just how the weekend ended up. And you couldn't come down. Nick was devastated by what happened to his bike and how much money he put into his bike. And honestly, for him, like, he felt like garbage because this bike was brand new. He was super excited for the Street Glide. Not new this season. He actually bought it last season. But he's had the worst luck with this bike, like the worst luck. We went on a bike trip. He dropped it twice in one bike trip. He never dropped his Heritage, and he dropped this bike twice. Oh, wow. He had a bag fall off. I mean, he's just had bad luck with this bike, and we just felt terrible for him. And it was really interesting because Bob, our friend who had this bike that kind of broke down all the time, had got a new bike this year, and he had no issues. And he said to Nick, he's like, dude, Nick, he goes, I understand now what it's like to have somebody go through a situation like this. He goes, now I know how you guys felt waiting for me every time my bike broke down. And we were like, this is just what we do,
Absolutely.
All of these things end up just like becoming a story, like that's how they end up. They just end up becoming a story. But I just felt terrible for the people that were negatively affected by it because it was shitty. It was shitty that there was people that took time out of their lives to come down and spend time with us, and this is how it turned out. It just was shitty.
Well, and that don't give yourself some grace. Don't beat yourself up over that. Life happens. Just like my scenario, life happens, and things happen. Things come up. They're out of your control. That are a priority, and that your priority there was obviously to get home. That's what life was telling you, and that's what you needed to do. And if you'd stayed an extra night or that night, it wasn't going to change anything. It's probably, to your point earlier, it was going to make it worse.
Yeah. And that, I think that was the biggest thing. Had we looked at the weather and it was going to drop 20 degrees at night and it was going to be cooler to sleep at night, we would have toughed out the hot days because, riding in hot weather is, you want nice, good, sunny weather for when you're out riding and on your bike, right? It was that shitty feeling that you get at night where you couldn't sit by the fire, you couldn't cook by the fire, you didn't want to have a fire because you'd spent all day long hot and sweaty on your motorcycle. So that was, I think, really what ended up being the shitty part about it is that we ended up in this situation we didn't want to be in because of the weather,
Yeah. Yeah, when you never have a chance to cool down and you never can get comfortable, that's not fun, and it's not safe in the long run, especially on a bike.
For sure. Well, dude, I think we did it, right? We talked about kind of some shitty things that happen when you're on your motorcycle, and like I said, what's your line in the sand? What's your shitty situation that happened, or that happened that ruined your trip or whatever? So let us know. Hit us up on Instagram and let us know what it was that maybe made you cancel a trip. Hopefully it wasn't a death in the family or somebody getting sick or emergency with a child or something like that. But because obviously those things are worse. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you guys think of what would end a motorcycle trip for you, or
Yeah,
what has.
I mean, maybe draw the line in the sand you draw is just codes on your bike. You never know. Just let us know.
Oh, that's some
Slide in
bullshit right there. That's some bullshit. Codes on your bike.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us for episode 2. Hope you all enjoyed it. Look forward to your all's feedback through Instagram on, like Ryan said, what's your line in the sand? What are some crazy experiences you've had on the bike? And we'll see you guys next Monday. Have a good one.
We out.